Good afternoon. Good morning. This is the Asylum Answer Show. I'm Brian Manning. I want to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. How are you guys doing? Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching. Out there on YouTube, we got TikTok, we got LinkedIn, we got Facebook, and we got Instagram. The Instagram channel is new, by the way, for English. We've long had an Instagram account for that we just do Spanish language content on, but we just recently created one in English. So, for those of you on YouTube and TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you prefer to hang out on Instagram and you want to see our stuff, our videos, our lives on Instagram, check out Instagram. The username is or the account name is Asylum_lawyer. If you search for Asylum Lawyer, you should be able to find it. Instagram account Asylum Lawyer. But look, really the best place to get all of our best stuff is YouTube. All right. YouTube is where I've got full length trainings, like tutorials, very detailed, some of them very long, tutorials and trainings about all kinds of stuff that you need to know if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success. And that's over on YouTube. And the YouTube channel is called Political Asylum Lawyers. And that's actually the name of our law firm, Political Asylum Lawyers. So go to YouTube and just search Political Asylum Lawyers, and you'll see a picture of me. That's our channel, Political Asylum Lawyers. Good afternoon. Who we got and where are we? Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Good morning. Good morning. I want to know where you're joining us from today. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching us from. Hey, over on TikTok, Yusrif, Aflatun, Paula. Good morning. Haroon, good to see you. Does that say DKK? JM Ntambo. Looks like a South African flag, I believe. It's hard to see from here. The Big Mortgage, nice. Mandeep, hey, how are you? Zishan, Zishan, good to see you. Wagwan. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good evening, says DKK. Haroon is up in Wisconsin, watching from MN USA. Oh, so Haroon and Yusuf are next to each other. Wisconsin and Minnesota are neighboring states. So I lived for a while in Minnesota for 2 years. I went to law school there and in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. And I love it up there. Minnesota is good living. I always tell people that Minnesota always ranks in the top one or two in terms of like surveys when they survey people about like overall quality of life. Minnesotans are very happy and believe that they have a very high quality of life. It's good living up there. All right, and I love the cold weather actually. I love the cold weather. I like it better than the hot weather we have in Texas where I live. What do you want to know about asylum? Let me know your questions. But actually, look, let me know where you're watching from first. Love to see where you guys are at. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. Still morning, barely in Texas where I am. Yeah, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. YouTube, what's up? Good morning, YouTube. How are you? All right, very good. So look, I want to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. Say hello, YouTube. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. And then let me know in the comments what questions you have. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? For those who just joined, I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. That's what we do all day, every day. Big G says, hey, Brian, good to see you. Nice. Where are you guys watching from? Where are you joining us from today? All right, I'm going to get you forever. I'm going to get you. I'm going to answer your question. And the question is this. Can someone who doesn't have a lawyer representing them file written pleadings on their own in immigration court? Now, why does this matter before we answer the question? Written pleadings are something that sometimes a judge asks you to do. Usually they don't. Usually the judge doesn't ask you to do this. Instead, you would do the same thing orally, in person, or by video conference if the judge makes it video conference during your first hearing, during what's called the master calendar hearing. But if you want to, you can do this on your own and basically do in writing what you would normally do in person on that day. And so we call it these written pleadings, where we write out the pleadings and you send them in. And in my law firm, what we the benefit of this, how we use it is we send in this, and we also send in a motion to asking the judge to cancel the master calendar hearing and just go ahead and skip straight to the individual, schedule that main hearing. Because we say, look, judge, we already did in writing what we would do in person, that day. So there's no need to have that hearing. It's pointless. So could you please cancel it and schedule the individual hearing? And we do this because we think that, well, one of the reasons is that we think that normally the sooner you get your hearing, the sooner you get to explain your case and get a decision, the better your chances for success. So we want to move the case along as quickly as possible. And this helps to do that by just skipping over the master calendar hearing altogether. So to answer the question of can you do it on your own? Absolutely. Yeah. You don't have to be a lawyer to file. You can do everything on your own in terms of filing any kind of motion or documents. You can do it on your own. There's no requirement to have a lawyer to file anything. It can be a little tricky. The written pleadings, you might, there's a little bit of care that you have to take with those to do it properly. So I do recommend that you have a lawyer because it's kind of it's important. So I do recommend that you have it. But sure, you can do it on your own if you don't have a lawyer. You don't want to hire a lawyer for that. Yeah. Hey, good afternoon, YouTube. What the Rick says, what are the chances of having your asylum approved if you're from Albania? Good question. The question is this. What are your chances for asylum success based on just the country you're from? Or can we even say like, hey, you got a really good chance to win because you're from this country? Or no, you have no chance because you're from that country. Well, no, we can't really do that. Look, even countries where there's a lot of persecution of people on account of protected characteristic, and people from that country do often have good cases. Even knowing that you're from one of those countries, I can't tell you like, oh, you're from that country, oh, then yeah, you have a good case, or you have a good chance, or even a greater than 50% chance. I can't tell you that based on your country, because it comes down to you. It comes down to you and your specific circumstances. Okay, I have to really get to know you and your situation and your case, the facts and circumstances, to tell you whether we think you have a real chance for success. And we do this in the context of what we call an asylum strategy session. It's a consultation, right, where you can we're gonna get to know all about your case, analyze it, and tell you what we think, whether we think we're in a position to help you. If we think that we are, we're going to explain how we would do that exactly, like concretely what the steps are we're going to take to try to give you the best possible chance of winning your asylum case. And you can schedule this consultation at winasylum.com. Go to the URL winasylum.com. Winasylum.com. Nice. Caleb says, how would the government shutdown affect asylum seekers? Good question. The question is this. So how might the government shutdown affect asylum seekers? So look, in the past, during government shutdowns, they did close immigration courts. I don't think it's happening right now. Last I saw, I haven't checked this morning, but as of last night, I was seeing everyone reporting that their court cases were still going forward, that the courts had not shut down. It's possible that they could, especially if the shutdown extends longer. But I think as of right now, the court cases are still going forward, and USCIS interviews are going forward. They're not canceled. USCIS has traditionally stayed open during government shutdowns because they're actually fee funded. Like they're not relying on money apportioned, dedicated to them from Congress. They're funded by like the fees that come in for their cases. So they're kind of a different situation than most government agencies. And so they're less affected by like the fact that the government says, sorry, we don't have any money to give to you right now because the government is just shut down and you're not part of the emergency plan to keep things running. So as of right now, the moment that I'm doing this live, it looks like all kinds of asylum cases are still going forward as usual. Messiah says, I just filed my application. Congratulations. With the immigration court or USCIS? Messiah says, I have extraordinary circumstances by maintaining status and changed circumstances by having a newly issued extrajudicial order. I applied past the 1-year deadline by 2 months. Okay. Do you still have status, that status, or did you lose it recently? If you maintained it from, the entire time you've been in the U.S., never violated it, then you should probably be fine. Messiah, what asylum office did you apply with? If with the asylum office, let me know what office. Caleb says, that's great news because my interview is scheduled for the end of October. Nice. Caleb, or Caleb. Teshome. Where are you from? That sounds like a Congolese name to me. Are you Congolese, Caleb? Um, uh, Caleb, where's your interview? What office? Let me know. Let me know. I'm curious where you're from, if you don't mind. If you don't mind sharing, and what office? Okay, Messiah says their interview, or sorry, their application was filed, and they're going to be they're with the Arlington Assam office. Okay, that's a pretty decent one. Oh, Ethiopia. Oh, okay, yeah, nice, nice. Um, look, Messiah, there's a good chance you will have your interview right away within weeks or 2 or 3 months. There's a very good chance, okay? Because most people who apply recently are getting their interviews right away, okay? Um, so you got to be ready. So both of you guys, Caleb, Messiah, have you checked out this? Have you checked out this webpage yet? I don't know if you've been on these lives in the past. Oops, not this one. This one. I don't know if you've been on these lives in the last couple of weeks where I've been talking about this web page and this service that we're offering. The web page is called asylumprep.com. Again, asylumprep.com. And it's just a bunch of information. There's a video up top, pretty long and detailed, and then below lots of text, very long, about this service that we're offering, which is the preparation service. Okay, so like let's see, who was that said October? That was Caleb. Caleb, your interview's in October, right? The end of October. Well, unfortunately, we don't have time to do a full representation for you. We don't have time to do the documents. We don't have time to like work on a declaration with you, do a legal brief, do the country conditions information and all of that. Unfortunately, it's too late for that since it's already October, right? There's less than a month before your interview. We don't have time to do the full workup. However, we do have time to prepare you. If you go to asylumprep.com, you're going to see information about this service that we're offering. And it's kind of like a standalone service where for people that don't have time to hire us for full scale representation, or maybe if money's an issue and the resources are an issue, maybe they don't have the resources to hire us for full representation. Well, in those cases, this is perfect for you. This is perfect for you. It's the preparation. You can hire us to do the preparation for the interview, which is the most important thing. Okay. Look, your preparation, how you practice, how you prepare for your interview is much more important than what you said in your application. It's much more important than what you said in your declaration. It's much more important than the evidence you have. It's more important than a legal brief your lawyer may write for you. It's more important than country conditions information. It's even more important than having a lawyer with you on the day of the interview. Okay. The preparation is the most important part. And now we're offering this as like a standalone service for people that either don't have the time or maybe the resources to hire us for full scale representation. This is the next best thing in my opinion. Okay. And you can find out all about it at asylumprep.com, asylumprep.com. Go check out that webpage with all of this information. Tons of information we have on there about this service that we're offering. It's called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience, the Mock Asylum Interview Experience, which for short we just call it the Experience. Check out asylumprep.com to learn all about the experience. All right, what do you want to know about winning asylum in America? Messiah says, I will check it out. Nice. Do you think I have extraordinary and changed circumstances? The 1 year excuse. Look, you said you lost your status 3 months ago, and you filed past the 1 year deadline by 2 months. It's going to be close on the maintenance of status one because you have to file within a reasonable time after that extraordinary circumstance of maintenance of status ends. 3 months ago, when the maintenance of status ended. Well, okay, hold on. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tough. I think the maintenance of status, look, it's tricky. It's tricky. We should talk. I hope that, I hope you have a lawyer helping you. If not, we should talk about this, about how to frame. I need to know more information to like frame this argument around potentially the maintenance of status / extraordinary circumstances exception. The changed circumstances, you said a newly issued judicial extrajudicial order. Maybe. When was it? does it mark a significant escalation in the risk to you? There's a lot of questions that we would want to ask you to tell you what we think about your chances for prevailing on one of these arguments. So if you think you might want help, you should schedule a consultation. Okay, you can do that at winasylum.com, 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 so we can talk through this. Hello, how are you? Big fan, says Neham Girma. Nice, very kind of you. Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you? What's going on? It feels like Friday to me. It's only Thursday though. I almost said, "Oh, what do you guys have planned this weekend?" But it's not. We're not quite to Friday yet where we do that, right? CU Space says, I'm in Texas during my asylum pending. I purchased a handgun for self and home protection after proper paperwork. Will this be an issue when I'm applying for asylum? I don't know. I don't know. It's not like, oh, for sure that's a negative thing for you. It's not like that. Um, I do know that someone cannot it's a crime to possess a handgun if you don't have legal immigration status. I know this because I once served as an expert witness in a federal criminal court terrorism case on this question, where I was talking about this issue of where someone had a gun and they didn't have legal status, and that's a crime. So, CU space, it could be a problem, honestly, because if you don't have status now, um, then it could be an issue. It could be an issue. I don't think it's honestly, I think it's unlikely to come up or be a problem in your asylum case. Whether it's a crime is a closer question. And it is something that you might want to talk with a criminal lawyer about because I don't know I don't know well the details of the criminal side of it because I'm not a criminal lawyer. But so could it be a problem? Yes, it could. I doubt it will be for purposes of your asylum interview. But there could be criminal issues around this, honestly. Okay. Even though you purchased it legally, that's not the problem. It's not, oh, you purchased a gun illegally. It's if you now don't have legal immigration status and just having asylum pending is not legal immigration status. But in this case where I served as an expert witness, the guy got off. He got acquitted, and this was one of the defenses was, well, he didn't know. He thought he had legal status because he had asylum pending, which is what I explained, that it's super common that people think that, basically. Um, and yeah, it's tricky. All right. Yeah, gun stuff is tricky. Weapons are tricky. Um, Salim Sahak says, "Sir, I'm a U.S. citizen through asylum. Can I go back to my home country of origin?" Look, I can't, like, this is not the kind of thing that I can tell you specifically on a live stream, like, that I can feel comfortable giving, like, giving you a concrete, straightforward answer, unfortunately, without knowing you and talking through some stuff with you and ask some questions and getting some information. But what I can tell you is that it is my experience that most immigration lawyers think that, generally speaking, it's okay to go back after you become a U.S. citizen. I can tell you that. Nahome, which days are you live? I couldn't keep track. You know, I'm trying to keep a consistent schedule of going live, but I haven't been perfect about it. It's most days of the week, like every day at, like, usually it's 10 a.m. Today was much later, but usually it's 10 a.m. U.S. Central Time, so 11 a.m. Eastern. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Uh, uh, do they reuse the biometrics I gave this year for my asylum application? I just filed one. Usually, yes. It's sometimes for what seem to be totally random reasons you have to go again. Um, and do biometrics again, even though you've done them once. Jasmine Parker says on Facebook, what is asylum? Good question. The question is this: what is asylum? Look, asylum is protection. It's protection for people who have a well-founded fear of being persecuted on their country, in their country, in their home country. It's the United States offering you protection, saying, "Look, we recognize that, you know, people are at risk for certain reasons in certain countries, and we want to give you safe haven. We believe it's the right thing to do to offer protection to people fleeing persecution. But it's not just, well, first of all, what is persecution? Persecution means grave harm, very serious harm. And then it's important to understand, though, that there's a lot of other requirements to win asylum. One of the main ones is that this persecution that you fear can't just be for any old reason. Rather, it has to be motivated by the fact that you, asylum seeker, possess, or at least the bad guys think you possess, one or more of the 5 protected characteristics under U.S. asylum law, which are your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or something called membership in a particular social group. So it has to be one of those 5 things that is animating or motivating the bad guys to want to harm you. An asylum leads to permanent residency, which leads to citizenship. So it puts you down that path to U.S. citizenship. All right. Just got my interview scheduled within 24 days of applying for asylum, says Love Preet in Tustin, California. That is the Los Angeles Asylum Office. So, yeah, look, this is normal, guys. This is normal. This is the new normal. The question really that it raises, the question is this. So, how long is it going to take to get your asylum interview if you're applying right now with USCIS? Now, this answer is going to surprise some of you because, look, everyone knows of people, in their community, friends, family, whatever, that have been waiting many years for an asylum interview with USCIS, 3 years, 6 years, 10 years. So it comes as a surprise when I tell people that actually, if you apply right now, there's a really good chance you're going to get your interview right away, like within weeks. Many people, in fact, I think most people who apply right now, who've been applying for the last few months, have gotten their asylum interview and had their interview within 3 weeks to 2 or 3 months. I would say the average from what we've seen in my office is probably a month and a half, 2 months of filing. Okay. So you got to be ready. You got to be ready. I hope you have an asylum lawyer helping you. I hope they're helping to put together your case on paper. But more importantly, I hope they're helping to prepare you. The preparation, the practice that you do for your interview, that's the most important part. You got to be ready to do this quickly because your case may go very, very quickly. All right. Lovepreet, have you, Lovepreet, let's see, he said was scheduled within 24 days of applying for asylum. Yeah, man, it's going fast. Lovepreet, have you checked out this webpage yet, Lovepreet? Asylumprep.com. I think you should check it out. I think you might like what you see there. I think that this might be able. I think you might agree that this is something that could really help you. All right. Does Virginia Immigration Court have good rating success? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Go to asylumprep.com to learn all about our asylum interview preparation service. All right. Okay, we got Precious over in Cameroon. Nice. We got entered with a visa and applied for asylum. Married to a green card holder. Can she apply for me? Maybe. You should talk with a lawyer who focuses on family-based immigration, because we don't do that. It's not my thing. We do asylum. We do asylum all day, every day. All right. Okay. Precious says, I have a hearing coming. Precious, when is it? And is it your master hearing? Or is it your individual hearing? And when is it? I'm curious to know, Precious. Let's see. Yeah, we already answered that. Okay. I have an interview on the 23rd of October, says known to Kondani. Known to Have you checked out asylumprep.com? Known to? We should. There's still time. There's still time for us to help you with this if you want help. If you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, then we should talk. Okay. Asylumprep.com is this special page that I put together a couple of weeks ago. We've only been offering this service for a few weeks, and I'll tell you, people are loving it. Okay. Clients are loving it. In fact, I might pull up some. Hold on. We pulled together some of the what are they called? Some of the comments that people left on YouTube videos and emails to us and Google reviews and whatnot about our asylum preparation services. Hold on, let me find those. I'm going to show you guys because I think it might help you get a sense for what this is all about. Hey, yeah. So look, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. Lovepreet, I want you to check this out. Caleb, who else was it? Myson, it had the asylum interview pending, scheduled and coming up. Check this out. All right, let's see. Where is that at? Browser window. There. Oh yeah, there's me. There's this. Wait, it's messed up. I'm gonna pull this over myself. Hold on. Zoop. Check this out. This is asylumprep.com, and I don't know if you can see this. It might be kind of small, but I want to tell you all the same. Just like I wanted to share a couple of these comments that people have left about our preparation services. So Soji says the mock interview with Manning Asylum is your best option. Thomas says the mock interview prep saved my case. I was approved in 2 weeks. The price is worth every penny. The mock interview is really great. Dio Mercy says I went on the day of my interview with confidence after the mock interview. Kagan says if you have the funds, Brian's the person to go to. Mock interview was extremely helpful. Sophia said, what the attorney asked me was exactly the same I was asked at USCIS, like during the real interview, being honest here. This one, Spassi says, you did it. Your professionalism, knowledge, kind-heartedness, and compassion are outstanding. The preparation prepared me so well. You prepared me so well at the mock interview. Thank you for making my dream come true. Oh, yeah. Sorry. On Instagram, you guys cannot see that at all. My bad. That view is all messed up, and TikTok as well. But on YouTube, at least, you can see my screen pretty well. It's kind of small, though, right? All right. I'll stop showing the screen. The point is, people are liking this service, all right? Go to asylumprep.com. Check it out. I don't think I have enough evidence to prepare in such a short period of time. I'm a doctor, and I came to the States on a tourist visa, Lovepreet says. Do what you can. I honestly, Lovepreet, I recommend against rescheduling. Here, let me address like this. The question is this. So let's say you apply for asylum and with USCIS, and surprise, your interview gets scheduled right away, like within weeks of applying. You're stressed out because you're like, oh, I did not expect that to happen so fast because you didn't know that this is normal now. Most people are getting their interviews right away after applying. And so you're thinking, you know what? I need more time. I need more time to get more evidence and just prepare myself. Maybe I'll ask to reschedule it. I'll ask to push it back. Don't do that. I recommend against it. Look, the sooner you have your interview, the better your chances for success. If you ask to reschedule your interview, they might reschedule it soon. In fact, I mean, usually they do. Usually when you ask to reschedule, they say, okay, and they do it pretty quickly within a few weeks or a month or two. But sometimes no. Sometimes these reschedules fall through the cracks. They get lost, and you don't get rescheduled for many months or even years. And I think that if you end up having to wait years, your chances for success are going to be much, 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 much lower than they are right now. I recommend that you go forward with your interview. Do your best to try to get evidence, but keep in mind that the evidence is not nearly as important as the preparation. The preparation is the key. Practice for the interview is the key. And you can do that in a very short time frame. When people hire us for preparation, we can do this with just 5 days before their interview. If they hire us with at least 5 days before their interview, we can do our 2 practice sessions that we do with our clients and through this special service that we offer for preparation. The full-scale mock interview of 2 hours plus the debrief session, the follow-on debrief session of 30 minutes. And we also give them the video and audio recordings of those practice sessions. We give them the transcripts. We give them the AI-generated summaries. And we also, for a limited time, through a special package, we're giving them access to other special trainings to prepare you for the asylum interview. So we can do this quickly. If you want to learn about this service, go to asylumprep.com. 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 Okay. All right. RR says, for application after the 1 year deadline, is it the court or USCIS better for success? Good question. The question is this. So let's say you're applying after 1 year of already being here, more than a year. Is it better for you to have your case with USCIS or the immigration court? Well, you don't get an option. You don't get to choose where you apply for asylum. It goes on who has jurisdiction over your case. Generally speaking, if you came on a visa, your case is going to be with USCIS. If you came to the border without a visa, your case is going to be with the immigration court. You don't get to choose. In terms of, which of those two places, though, to try to address the question, which of those two places is more favorable if you're trying to prove an exception to the 1 year filing deadline? I mean, the court might be a little more receptive to legal arguments around this tricky question. It's kind of a complicated area of law, and judges tend to be in general more sophisticated and a little bit more willing to consider actual legal arguments than asylum officers. So maybe the court's a little better, but you don't get to choose. In either case, you just got to do your best to present the strongest arguments possible. Okay. Asterisk Alliance says, what's up with the $100 annual fee? Will USCIS just send mail to each individual, how and where to pay it? Yes, that's what USCIS has said. For people with an affirmative asylum application pending, USCIS has said they're going to do exactly that. They're going to send a letter or reach out, possibly through your My USCIS account if you applied online, to tell you when and how to pay. Hey, Brian, in order to describe a traumatic event during the interview, does the order of what they said matter? For example, BAC instead of ABC? Good question, says nobody. The question is this. Does being absolutely precise when recounting details at your interview really matter? Like if you just change the order of something a little bit, like for example, let's say your declaration that you submitted says, they said A, and then they said B, and then they said C. But then at your interview, you're like, oh, they said B, and then A, and then C. Like you just got, the things they said a little bit out of order. Can that hurt your case, actually? Yeah, it can. Look, getting what someone said out of order by, a tiny bit probably will not be a major negative factor. Some officers might try to use it against you, okay? But it's not a huge deal. But if it's truly different, not just the order in which someone says something, but if there's a bigger difference in recounting a story, even though it still is seems like a small detail, yeah, it can hurt you. It can hurt you. When this happens a few times, officers can say, there was too many inconsistencies in your case, and therefore you're not credible, and therefore we're denying you. So you got to pretty much memorize it. You got to pretty much memorize your declaration and your application materials and be ready to explain it in pretty much the same way. It's hard, and it's hard to talk about these traumatic. We're talking about probably some traumatic things for people, right? So it's really tough. But that's how the system is. Unfortunately, it's not kind, it's not fair, but that's how it is. All right. You're welcome, RR. My pleasure. Let's see. All right. Nice. TikTok, how are you? Instagram, what's going on? Wallace Stonani, yes, yeah. Hey, good afternoon. How are you? Glad you're with us. Hey, Yastin, I have an individual hearing October 21st in Cleveland, Ohio. Is the government shutdown going to affect my schedule? I don't know. As of right now, it looks like no, but that could change. You gotta, I would follow. I would monitor, check online every day to see if it says canceled. Okay. First Ethiopia says, hey, I'm new here. Nice. Glad you're with us over on TikTok. Glad you're here. Uh, can I send the personal declaration years later if I didn't send it at the beginning of my application? Good question, Kenan or Kenan Chow. Question is this: can you file a declaration for your immigration case, for your asylum case, years after you applied? Like, let's say you applied a long time ago, and you didn't submit a declaration. Can you do it now, like before your interview, or just even if you don't have an interview scheduled, can you just do it randomly, sort of now? Yeah, and I think it's good. I think it's good too. I think it's helpful if your declaration is well done. Okay, a declaration that is not well done can actually be counterproductive. I think honestly, you should definitely talk with an asylum lawyer about this to get help, because if it's done well, the declaration can be powerful and really helpful to your case. If it's not, it can be counterproductive. It can hurt your case. Okay, so but yeah, you can definitely still submit it even though you didn't submit it with your original application materials. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? For those who have joined recently on this Asylum Answers show, I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as a lawyer, my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. That's what we do all day, every day as asylum, 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 all day, every day. All right. Good, good, good. Nice. Interesting stuff. All right. Is it possible they detain you and not let you attend the interview in Tustin, California? Says Lovepreet. Lovepreet, you said you came on a visa. Um, it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that you'll be detained when you go for your affirmative asylum interview. If you don't have a criminal record or background, then it's very unlikely that you'll be detained. I wouldn't even. So I think the risks are so low that I wouldn't even worry about it, honestly. All right. Um, nice. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So why? Oh, yeah. I was talking about the asylum preparation. So why? You want to know why? Why is it important? Good question. The question is this: why is it that preparing for your asylum interview is so crucial? Look, asylum officers, they don't care that much about evidence. Many of them assume that it's probably fraudulent anyway. You probably made it up. They just don't give that much weight to evidence, like physical, like or any kind of evidence. They also don't care that much what you say in your asylum application. They are taught that what you say at your interview is the most important thing. That's what they give the most weight to. That's what they really care about. Okay. In fact, when they write their assessment after your interview, uh, they don't even like talk about your evidence. Like when they say this is what happened in the case, they don't even reference your evidence. They just recount what you said in your testimony during your asylum interview. That's what they care about. And you can practice for this. You can do a better job by preparing through practice. And we find the most effective way to do that is through a practice interview, a full scale mock interview, like a simulation, right? A simulated interview where it's like the real thing. That way, you go into the real interview knowing what kind of questions you're going to get, what it feels like to be in this position, right? What the different procedures are for the day. All this is going to give you more confidence on the day of your real interview. So we do a full scale mock interview with people. Then we do a follow on debrief session where we give you feedback, right? We tell you how you did and how you could do better. We don't tell you what to say. It's your story. You got to tell it. We just want to make sure that you know how to do that in a clear and compelling way, and that you're focusing on the right things the officer cares about, the things the officer needs to know about your case, right? That's what we help you to understand, and we practice doing it. Okay, so this is the best way that we know how to help someone increase their chances for asylum success. And this is based off of my experience as a former asylum officer and now as an asylum lawyer whose law firm is doing asylum all day, every day for the last almost 6 years. This is all that experience has led me to create this package at asylumprep.com. This is a special webpage all about this service that we're offering called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. It's asylum preparation. You can find out all about this at asylumprep.com. Asylumprep.com. Oh, awesome. As if on cue, as I'm talking about this, Anastasia says on YouTube, we did hand raise. We did mock interview with you guys. It was helpful. Nice, awesome. Thank you for coming on to mention that. Good. Yeah, I look. I think it's the best thing we can do to help. I think it's the best thing that you can do, anyone can do, to prepare for their asylum interview to maximize your chances for asylum success. Okay. Um, nice. Anastasia, who was your which attorney was your mock interview with? Do you remember the name of the attorney? I'm just curious. I'm glad it went well, and because I want to tell them good job, and let them know that you came on to say that it was helpful. Good. Yeah, a second ago I was trying to show on my screen. YouTube, you were able to see it, but I think everyone else couldn't really see it very well. I'm sharing my screen and showing the web page, asylumprep.com, where we've highlighted some comments that people have left about it, and people like it. People love it. Our clients tell us all the time that the preparation that we did, especially the mock interview, that was the key to their whole case, the most important thing in their whole case. All right. Um, all right. Nice. Yeah. Kenan Chow says, thank you. I'll look for lawyer support. I sent my I-589 in April 2022 for LGBTQ case. Nice. Nice. Yeah. We should talk. If you want to talk, we'd like to do that. All right. Create the Academy. I want to submit supporting documentation related to country conditions. Should I copy the full article? It's tricky. Country conditions, trying to do this without a lawyer is tricky. Because if you just submit like a stack full of papers without any context or discussion of the relevant parts, the officer will ignore it. They will ignore it. Okay. They don't have time to read 1,000 pages or even 100 pages of just country conditions, 99% of which is not relevant to your case. So what we do is we use the country conditions by talking about it in our legal brief, which the officer will actually read. We cite to it, we discuss it, the most important parts, we explain why it's relevant and why it matters, how it helps our client. And of course, yeah, we do provide the actual source documents behind our brief, but we don't expect the officer won't actually read them. They're almost certainly not going to actually read the documents, the country conditions documents that you submit, because they're too long and most of it's not relevant. So it's frustrating for them, and they just don't have the time to do that. Okay. So yeah, you can do it on your own without a lawyer. I don't expect it to be that useful, probably. So you may want to consider getting help from a lawyer. All right. Kate C. She is awesome. Nice. Yep. Sheltane is her last name. Yep. She is awesome. Uh, Good lawyer. Very good lawyer. Former asylum officer. Former asylum, like me. She's a former lawyer and former asylum officer. Uh, I don't know if you knew that, Anastasia. But yeah, former asylum officer. Cool. Thank you for mentioning that, Anastasia. Muhammad Ali says, my interview's next week. Should I have an interpreter? Should I speak English? I do speak fluent. I need your advice. Good question. The question is this. Let's say you speak English pretty well, pretty fluently, but not like maybe super, super, super fluently. And you're considering, okay, should I use an interpreter for my asylum interview or just speak English? This is a tough one. If you feel extremely comfortable, like you can express yourself fully and understand everything that is said to you in English, then and you feel good about it, then English is fine. But if you have any doubts, if you feel any discomfort speaking English, do interpretation. Take an interpreter with you and use interpretation. It's better to err on the side of caution. If you have any doubt, it's better to err on the side of caution and use an interpreter because look, communication is incredibly important. Okay. I've seen interviews ruined by lack of communication or communication errors or miscommunication due to language issues, including where the applicant tries to speak English without interpretation and they're not as good as they thought or they're not as good as they need to be, and it hurts their case or it can even make you lose your case. So if there's any doubts, then I recommend erring on the side of yes, do use interpretation. All right. All right. Very good. Very good. Uh, Nice. You're welcome, Create Academy. Orgy, thanks for the or Orjai, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Are those Nigerian and Canadian flags or what flag? It's very small on my screen from here. Um, how long should we wait for an answer after the interview? Jorge wants to know. The question is this: so how long can you expect to wait for the decision after your asylum interview with USCIS? Look, it's well, at the end of the interview, they tell you, right, whether you need to come back and pick up your decision in person or instead they're going to mail it to you. If they ask you to come back in person, that's 2 weeks. They always say come back in 2 weeks and pick it up. But if it's going to be by mail, they won't promise you anything, a timeline at all. It's going to be at least 2 weeks if it's by mail. Usually it's quite a bit longer. Usually I would say on average it's maybe a month and a half, 2 months, but it may be even longer. Look, if you get to a month waiting for your decision, I would say email the asylum office and say, hey, I have my interview and I haven't got my decision. Could you please let the officer know that I stand ready to provide anything the officer might need in the way of additional information or anything else so they can conclude my case? By the way, would it be possible to give me an estimate as to when I might expect my decision to arrive? Sometimes, rarely, admittedly, but sometimes that's enough to actually spur progress for them to realize, like, oh, yeah, wait, I'm reminded now that this case needs to be dealt with and they can finish it off. Okay, sometimes it works. All right. Uh, nice. Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. You're welcome, Jorge. My pleasure. And look, if you've been waiting, if you wait for more than a month, or let's say you wait a month, you email the asylum office and they don't respond, or they just reply and say it's pending. We'll get to it when we get to it. Um, then the next question is, if have you been waiting, or did you apply for asylum? Did you apply 5 years or more ago? If you applied 5 years or more, then I think you're in a good position to force the decision through a mandamus lawsuit. This mandamus lawsuit that I love talking about, it works not just to force your interview, but also to force a decision. If you applied for asylum a long time ago, you can use the mandamus lawsuit to force the decision. Okay. So look, all of you out there, if you've been waiting for a long time, for several years for your interview or your decision, we should talk. We should talk about possibly suing the government in a mandamus lawsuit. And by the way, this works so well, and we've gotten, I think, so good at it that we're offering a money back guarantee. That's pretty much unheard of in the immigration space for an immigration lawyer to offer a money back guarantee on an immigration service, but we're doing that. We're doing it for our mandamus service for certain people. Not everyone qualifies, like terms and conditions apply, right? But for certain people, we are offering a money back guarantee on this mandamus lawsuit to move your stalled asylum case forward. All right. Is it a good or bad sign to be told to pick up the decision from the office for 2 weeks? What do you think? Good question. The question is this: is it a good sign, bad sign? What does it mean when the officer at the end of your asylum interview tells you, hey, you need to come back in 2 weeks to pick up the decision in person at the asylum office? Is that good, bad? What? It's neither. It's normal. If you look, the policies are a little bit different at different asylum offices, but generally speaking, one of the main consistent policies is if you live near the asylum office, they do ask you to come back and pick up the application in person in 2 weeks. It's normal. That's the norm. Okay. So it doesn't mean good, bad. It doesn't mean you're going to win, you're going to lose, or that they're going to like try to arrest you. It doesn't mean any of that. It's just the normal way to deliver the decision. But say if they tell you, oh, don't, no, don't come back, we're going to mail it to you. Same thing. That doesn't mean good or bad. It just means that you live far away, probably, or or maybe they know there's going to be some additional processing to be done in your case. It's going to make it take longer than the 2 weeks they normally do for pickups. So instead, they're going to say, oh, we're going to make this a mail out. So basically, it does not mean anything good or bad for your case. The fact that it's by mail, or oh no, it's pickup. Neither of them tells us anything about your case. Oh, nice. Where did that go on TikTok? I am Mr. Simon says, I swear, bro, your videos helped me during my hearing and I won. Thank you, Mr. Brian. Awesome. I love to hear that. Love to close out with that kind of comment. I am Mr. Simon. Congratulations. I'm glad the videos were helpful. I assume you're talking about videos not here on TikTok where you are right now, but rather probably on YouTube, the training videos. Guys, YouTube is where I've got all my best stuff. Okay. The YouTube channel is called Political Asylum Lawyers. If you go to YouTube and search Political Asylum Lawyers, you'll find our channel. That's where I've got trainings, tutorials, some really detailed stuff that can help you. Like they helped I Am Mr. Simon win over here on TikTok. All right, that's going to be it for today, guys. It's a pleasure and an honor to support you. And I want you to talk with our team if you think that you might want help. Lynn, Turkish, who has an interview coming up in Boston, is it already scheduled? If it is, we should talk right away about possibly doing the preparation. Asylumprep.com, guys. Asylumprep.com if you're interested in learning more about getting what I think is the best help out there, the best method, the best framework and process possible to maximize your chances for asylum success. You can find out more at asylumprep.com. All right. All right. That's it, guys. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you on the next live. All right.